Nationwide protests erupt across the United States amid rising social and political tensions. In recent days, widespread protests have erupted across several major cities in the United States, as thousands of demonstrators have taken to the streets to express their growing dissatisfaction with recent government decisions, systemic social inequalities, and what many see as the erosion of civil liberties. From New York and Washington, D.C. to Los Angeles, Atlanta, Chicago, and smaller cities across the country, a powerful wave of public discontent is sweeping the nation. The demonstrations began earlier this week following a series of controversial legislative decisions at the federal and state levels. Protesters argue that these measures disproportionately affect marginalized communities, restrict personal freedoms, and fail to address long-standing issues such as racial injustice, economic disparity, and police brutality. The unrest comes amid a politically polarized atmosphere in the lead-up to the upcoming presidential elections. Thousands have gathered in city centers, parks, and in front of government buildings, chanting slogans such as "Justice for all," "Our rights, our voice," and "No more silence." The protests, which were initially peaceful, have in some instances escalated into confrontations between demonstrators and heavily armed police forces. Law enforcement agencies in several cities have used tear gas, rubber bullets, and mass arrests to disperse crowds, drawing sharp criticism from civil rights organizations and public officials. Reports from medical services confirm dozens of injuries, both among protesters and police. Human rights groups including the ACLU and Amnesty International have condemned what they describe as the excessive and militarized response by police forces. Videos circulating on social media show officers using force on unarmed demonstrators, further fueling public outrage. The White House has issued a statement urging calm, asserting that while peaceful protest is a fundamental democratic right, violence and disorder will not be tolerated. However, several members of Congress, particularly from the Democratic Party, have called on the administration to listen to the concerns of the people rather than respond with force. Senator Maria Lopez, Democrat California, said in a public address, "These protests are not just about a single decision. They are the result of years of ignored voices and unfulfilled promises. It is time for real reform, real dialogue, and real accountability." The protests have gained momentum in part due to grassroots organizing through social media platforms, with activists using hashtags like #StandUpUSA, #RightsForAll, and #MarchForJustice to mobilize support. University students, labor unions, faith leaders, and community organizers have joined the movement, calling for nationwide reform in policing, healthcare access, housing policy, and economic justice. Meanwhile, political analysts warn that the situation could escalate if the federal government does not adopt a more conciliatory approach. "We are witnessing a critical moment in American history," said Dr. Thomas Whitaker, a political science professor at Georgetown University. "The legitimacy of public institutions is being tested, and the response from leadership will determine whether we move toward healing or deeper division." The international community is also closely watching developments in the U.S., with foreign media outlets reporting extensively on the demonstrations. Several world leaders have expressed concern over the images emerging from the protests, urging respect for democratic principles and human rights. As the situation continues to evolve, organizers have announced plans for larger marches and coordinated nationwide actions in the coming weeks. With emotions running high and no resolution yet in sight, the United States appears to be entering a prolonged period of civic unrest, one that may have far-reaching implications for its domestic stability and global reputation.